Hey everybody, Jenna K here. So I'm on a healing journey. So I'm here to talk about today why I'm telling my story and why you should tell yours. So I've been asked, why do I want to tell my story? And I've asked myself that very question. How will it help me and what would the benefit be? I'm not the most interesting person in the world. So, I'm not really here to gain a huge following. I'm not here to really inspire anybody else, and I'm certainly not here to defend myself. But if I tell my story, maybe it will resonate and make sense. So, I have a really strong sense of purpose, and I've been trying to find my purpose. Do you have one? What's yours? What are your goals? What do you hope to accomplish? So, mine is to figure out how I can make a difference in this world, how I can use my experiences maybe to help explain something that maybe will make sense to someone else so they can use the tools, the experiences that I've had myself to maybe change and help themselves along the way. So here we go. So my story, I've been trying to figure out how to tell it. It seems long and overwhelming. And I know if you've ever sat down and tried to figure out, okay, where do I start? It feels overwhelming, right? Have you ever sat down and said, okay, oh my gosh, how do I put this into words? So my friends have encouraged me to develop an outline, but my outline started here and then it started to go here and then it started to go here, and pretty soon my outline, I can't even make sense of my outline. So I wanted to go back to the basics. So why do I want to tell my story? Well, I'm on a journey to recovery, resilience. I believe that I'm a strong person, as we all are. I have a degree in psychology. I worked as a therapist. I believe that people can overcome adversity with a plan. We're resilient folks. We are capable of overcoming very difficult things. Everybody in life, nobody's exempt. We've all experienced adverse things. Some are more adverse than others. Sometimes we experience one or two things in life that are difficult. Sometimes we have a lifetime of things that are struggles. But we all do have these things in common where we have to learn coping skills. We have our tricky things our mind does to overcome things that are difficult. It's what we do with those things, how we develop coping mechanisms, come up with a plan to overcome and maybe use those experiences as catalysts for change. Right? Sometimes we learn what to do, sometimes we learn from those experiences what not to do, but they are lessons nonetheless. So, why should you tell your story? And why am I telling mine? Because I really want to have a voice. I don't want to be judged by people that think they know things of me. I want to have people get to know me for me in my own words. It's easy, isn't it, to jump on the bandwagon, take tidbits of information, and form your own opinion based on maybe one or two things that you know about someone. That's really kind of not fair. So in this day of technology, decided I was going to take this time and use these opportunities to put it into my words so hopefully you can see and get to know me for me. Now, my experiences may be a little bit different, and they're all from my perspective. I'm going to share it from my seat, how it felt for me and how they impacted me. Everybody may have a different reaction, and you may have reacted to different things in different ways, but this is how they impacted me. So I'm going to be as honest as I can be from my seat. So I'm trying to find my own voice. For a long, long, long time, I've tried to hide it. I didn't want to talk about it. It's too hard. I didn't think people would believe me, but it's real to me. So I'm finding my voice. Instead of sticking my head in the sand, instead of hiding, I'm going to try to talk about it. If you do that, if you tell your story, if you get it out in the universe, then really there's nothing to hide from. It loses its power over you if you get it out in the universe. And I have tried to find that, and I'm learning that. If I was a therapist when I was working with clients, I would say that let's talk about it. The more times you talk about it, the less power it has. right? Especially if the story's the same and especially if it's your truth. So I'm not quite sure how, in what order I'm going to talk about things in, but what I will always do is tell it to the best of my ability in my words. So, why else do I want to tell my story, and why else should you tell yours? To reaffirm your values, who you are to your core, what you want to be known for, what you want to be remembered for. So, my struggle has been I don't want to, at the end of my days, leave behind the legacy of people thinking what they think they know about me. I want to leave behind what I know and who I know myself to be, and you should do the same. So sometimes we are judged by the opinions that people have no business making of us. Sometimes we're accused of things, we gain reputations because that's just the way the world works. We are judged by the way we look, by the decisions that we make. That doesn't necessarily define who we are. We all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect, right? Even though we try to be. I try to be. I'm a perfectionist by nature, and I'm working really, really hard on that. Digging deep, figuring out why I am that way. So hopefully you'll stay on this adventure with me, but I'm telling my story so I can affirm and with confidence attest to who I know myself to be. For example, I've tried to be a good person. I've tried to make the right decisions. I've tried to live a right life. Although I've been judged and called a whole lot of different things, but there are certain things that I know myself to be. I don't lie. I have no reason to. I don't try to hide things. Now, I've tried to hide some facts of things because they were too hard for me and I couldn't make sense of them. But I am not a liar. If it comes out of my mouth, I'm telling it to be my truth to the best of my ability. So I also know I'm a pretty decent human being. I would help anybody that I can help, and that's part of why I'm on this journey telling my story. So I'm going to affirm who I know myself to be, even when it's even in a question in my own mind. So that'll give you a chance to affirm your values too. What's most important to you? Why do you do the things that you do? Who do you want to be known for? What things are valuable to you? So I also want to maybe instill a little bit of hope because I'm not so unusual. We all have the same struggles in life. We all feel like we don't fit. We all feel like we're lost and trying to find our own way. We're trying to figure out who, what, where some of our decisions came from. So it sometimes feels very lonely. We feel like we're out of place. But the common thing is, and what I've learned through being a therapist and through my degree in psychology and through my personal life experiences, that we all feel things in a similar way. We're not so unusual. So use my story. You don't use my story if you don't want to, but we all have the same feelings of inadequacy. We all seek validation when we need to. We all have traits that we want to change. We all look in the mirror and don't always like what we see. So we're not all so unusual. So have hope. There's ways to get through this. Like I said before, we're resilient creatures. We can overcome adversity if we have a plan and we ask for support. That's the hardest part sometimes, is just seeking support, recognizing when we do have strengths, overcoming and facing our flaws, and recognizing that those flaws make us unique. So have hope. So I'm hoping to instill a little bit of hope by showing that, I am willing to put my guard down, put my walls down, and be a little vulnerable. So why am I telling my story, and why should you share yours, be it big or small? Because nobody knows your story like you do. Nobody can tell my story from my seat like I can. So give it a go. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be any more invasive than you feel like sharing. But tell yours, even if it's just to save it. So maybe someday somebody can look back at it, or maybe you can look at your own. So be strong, tell your story, be courageous, tell a good story, have a purpose. My purpose is to tell mine from my vantage point so that I can understand it. My purpose is to share my experiences, the map back to understand how I ended up where I am today. So maybe it'll help and inspire others. Might as well use the education and the research to put it out there for someone else who maybe can relate to it. So, Jenna K, former therapist, trying to figure out my own way. So, if you have any questions, please do ask. Please do subscribe. Please do hit the like. If you made it to the end of this video, please put a smiley face or a comment because I would appreciate that. If you have any suggestions on what direction I should be going in, please do. Please do make suggestions because I'm a little bit lost trying to find a plan. So do what you can do. Remember that you have a purpose. Try to tell your story in the best way that you can, and away we go.